some football games. If you didn't do it, we'll help you get through it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Carrie Champion. I'm sitting here with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Good morning, gentlemen.
How about those Patriots?
How about them? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I had fun. I did you a favor. You need to be saying thank you.
I will.
Yes.
Could you just
I will.
Yes.
Yeah.
You did me the hugest friendly favor.
That's right.
You switched your pick.
I didn't mean it. I just did it for you. I just did it for you.
Yeah,
you know, Ernestine.
you took the jinx
Ernestine told me your last few weekends had been miserable, and I needed to do something for you, so I looked out.
He's here for you.
Yes, she did.
You've been great. You've been picking off games.
Maybe I'm failing in my relationship here.
No,
I don't know.
No,
I wouldn't say that.
All right, coming up on the show today, it's not how about them Patriots, how about them Cowboys. Cowboys beat the Texans and sent a message to the NFC East. What exactly was that message? Plus, Chargers shut out the Jets, but that loss actually exposed more than a problem at quarterback. There's other problems there for the Jets we shall discuss. But first, let's talk about that Tom Brady. He becomes the sixth quarterback in NFL history to reach 50,000 pass yards with his first 250-yard game this season. Extremely fitting after a week of questions about his ability and the Patriot problems. Brady and the Patriots played with controlled anger, handing the Bengals their first loss of the season. Before last night's game, the Patriots couldn't find an offensive rhythm, but with help from Gronk and the other tight end, Tim Wright, Patriots sent a very sound message.
Well, I love, all those guys, all my coaches, and I've, never had any tension with any of them, truthfully. It's unfortunate that some things get said and talked about, especially when they don't come from me. When you're in the middle of, especially a real tough week for our team to deal with things that are really outside of football, that are very personal and very personal relationships that I've built up for a long time. I got a lot of love and trust for everybody in this building.
Okay, love and trust for everyone in the building. Bengals allergic to the bright lights, perhaps, Stephen A. Andy Dalton is 2-4 in prime time games in his career. Remember, going into the game, the Bengals were 1-point favorites. That swing, they lost by 26.
Yep.
Was it more about the Bengals or more about the Patriots?
To me, Skip Bayless, it was more about the Bengals. Now, that's right. Now, I totally respect.
You don't respect.
Remember, I only switched my pick as a favor to you. I knew the Patriots were going to win this game. It wasn't a surprise to me for a couple of reasons, and I can prove it. Number one, I've been saying the career of Tom Brady has not come to an end. It is not time to write his epitaph. And more importantly, we're talking about the great Bill Belichick here, who basically left him to hang and dry by not making sure he had the necessary protection when you trade a Logan Mankins. But the offensive line showed up last night. We thought that was a fixable issue. You come out the gate, you attack the middle. Mm-hmm. You go with two big tight ends. Yep. Gronkowski was a beast throughout the night. But you connect on 20 yards with Brandon LaFell. You connect on 30 yards with Wright up the gut, right down Cincinnati's throat. And obviously with Burfict still concussed, it's one of those situations where the middle was wide open for the New England Patriots, and they attacked, and that's what Tom Brady loves to do. What I'm saying is, because it's Tom Brady, because it's the New England Patriots, because I never really counted them out to begin with, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon and say this was more about the Patriots, because I never thought that the Patriots were a lost cause. My issue, what I have been questioning on this show for the last year, was the Cincinnati Bengals. I told you, I keep telling you, what were they going into Sunday last night in terms of their Sunday night games? What, like 1-7 or something along those lines? These dudes show up, the bright lights show up on the Cincinnati Bengals, and you can't find them. It's like an APB is out for the Cincinnati Bengals. Whenever the bright lights occur, you're looking for them. They got to sound alarms, sirens. Where are these dudes? They are never anywhere to be found. You got A.J. Green. He was on Revis Island. Revis dominated that until he hurt his hamstring in the third quarter. Basically shut him down. You're the Cincinnati Bengals. You're at the 13-yard line. You've got an opportunity to score a touchdown. What do you do predictably offensively? We're talking about Hugh Jackson here, who knows what he's doing on offense, who's supposed to be the offensive coordinator, because we're not going to assume Marvin Lewis made these decisions, and you run it up the gut, right up the middle against New England with Giovanni Bernard on all three plays. You don't put the ball in Andy Dalton's hands. You don't try to attack Revis and go to A.J. Green. You don't try to go to Sanu. No, you do not do those things. So I look at Cincinnati and I say, I'm so surprised. Obviously, I'm being facetious here. I'm so surprised. The big moment shows up and Marvin Lewis's team doesn't. It happens over and over and over again, which is what harkens me back to 11 years coaching this team, and you can't win a damn playoff game. These are the Cincinnati Bengals that I know and have never loved. They've got all the talent in the world. They've got arguably the best talent clearly in the AFC North, but arguably in the AFC. You can compete with anybody until the expectations have been placed on your shoulders to do just that. And sure enough, they don't show up. I know what New England can do when they're on their A game. Skip Bayless, the New England Patriots may very well be better than the Cincinnati Bengals. But you ain't 26 points better than this talented Cincinnati Bengals squad. The Cincinnati Bengals, once again, did not show up. If New England had won this game and it was a nail-biter, that would be different. But when you come out and blowing them off the turf from opening tap, obviously, with everybody questioning your mettle and questioning your abilities and did you lose it or not, I understand the motivation is there. But the Cincinnati Bengals, on 10 days rest, was supposed to respond. That they came up so small, so putrid, so pathetically embarrassing. I'm sorry. That's more about the Bengals. Not because they lost, but because of how they lost. This is who they are when the bright lights come on. Take it away.
Did it ever occur to you during those 3 hours last night that the Patriots were making the Bengals disappear? Seriously, you cannot dismiss what the New England Patriots just pulled off over about a 4-day period as ho-hum, it's just the Patriots being the Patriots. I know you like them. I know last Tuesday I picked the Patriots to win this game, and you came right on top of me and you said, oh, yeah, they're going to win that game. But what just happened was not ho-hum. And so I'm not going to let you get away with just saying it's no big deal. It was a huge deal. This is the worst case scenario a team could just go through. You play a road Monday night game. You have to fly back half the night to Foxborough. And you have a very short week to prepare, during which you are told that your dynasty is dead, your Hall of Fame quarterback is washed up, your coach has basically lost his fastball and his marbles because he has just let the talent dwindle in every phase of the game. And you're coming up against a team that was undefeated, that had allowed the fewest points in football. And they're legit. I mean, my God, we've had Herm Edwards on. He said, this is the best team in football. He wrote it for ESPN.com. Best team in football. To turn around 41-14 to 43-17 is extraordinary. And I'm going to call it extraordinary. It is an all-time tribute to this quarterback and this head coach to right the ship in that short a time and take an offensive line that looked like it was a disaster just last Monday night and turn it in to dominating. They dominated a Cincinnati front. And I will tell you this, that Cincinnati front, it's as good as there is in the league. It's better than Seattle's front. I'm talking about the front seven. And I realize Burfict wasn't there, but remember, Hightower couldn't go for the Patriots, and then McCourty was lost in the second quarter.
But we're talking about what Tom Brady does best, and that's attack the middle of the field. And when you don't have Burfict there, that is a factor.
Well, maybe Brady's been looking for Mr. Right, and he found Mr. Right, as in Tim Wright, who they got back in exchange for Logan Mankins, and both of us sat here and said, well, this sounds shaky, but I kept saying, in Belichick I trust. Well, I think he saw something in those two rookie linemen that we saw last night. They're pretty good. And we saw something in Tim Lewis. Remember, he caught 50 balls for Tampa last year and 5 touchdown catches. And all of a sudden, they get the 2 tight ends going, and Gronk is starting to look like Gronk again, isn't he? Started to. And Tim Lewis, 5 targets, 5 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. I'm not saying, I'm sorry, Tim Lewis, Tim Wright. And yet, I'm not saying he's Aaron Hernandez, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's a big kid. He can run, And all of a sudden, I'm looking at Shane Vereen. He's a difference maker. He was all last year. And I don't know where he's been for the first 4 games. And all of a sudden, did he not take the game over in certain stretches? And finally, did we not see angry Tom Brady last night? And I wrote this for ESPN.com, so I'm going to have to pat myself on the back. I predicted we would see angry Brady. He's the crazy competitive Brady who's a little maniacal. He's a little psycho when he starts helmet butting with Gronk in the end zone and he and Edelman are playing hot potato and says, you spike, you spike, you spike. Boom, he's going to spike it. We saw that guy for the first time all year, and I'm going to predict that we will see him now regularly from game in, game out.
Let me teach you a couple things.
Oh, I need that.
Number one, lesson number 1, no need to pat yourself on the back when your brother's going to do it for you.
Oh,
your column was great. You had foresight. All the points that you made in the column prior to the game end up being incredibly prophetic. You should have waited for me to do it. It would have came across better. Okay?
I gave you the floor first, and you didn't say a word.
I was going to. Because the point is, Skip Bayless, the point is, Skip Bayless, it's true. It's the absolute truth. I swear. Okay? It's the absolute truth. My point to you is this, Skip Bayless. I was going to bring up your column inevitably because I was waiting for you to sit here and bloviate about the New England Patriots. Because the one thing your brother from another mother knows about you, Skip Bayless, is that you absolutely, positively love when you are proven correct. You see what I'm saying?
What?
Because the point that I'm trying to make to you is that you sit there, you wrote the column, and then you come back and you go out there and they play the way that they play. So that contributes to you wanting to heap praise on the New England Patriots. But I also know that you are wise enough, Skip Bayless, to know what I'm about to drop on you.
Okay.
My boy Champ in Detroit just texted me a minute ago and reminded me.
I love Champ.
When he sat there and he said this. He said, Marvin Lewis, modern-day Marty Schottenheimer. Sounds familiar? I think that's a pretty damn good comparison. The reality is simple, Skip Bayless. When you have a reputation of not showing up when the bright lights are on, that resonates. Again, if New England just won a regular old football game, it's nip and tuck, it's a battle, but New England pulls away in the fourth quarter, we're not having this discussion. We're having this discussion because from opening tap, the Cincinnati Bengals didn't show up. They did not show. Skip, they got ramrodded. They got stomped. It's just that simple. They got beat up, man. And when that happens, that just lets you know how pathetically weak they are. And I say it again, and I'm going to continue to say it because I respect the man's football acumen. I respect the Bill Polians of the world and Morts and everybody else who swear by the football intellect of this man, Marvin Lewis, and what he has accomplished as a defensive coordinator, guiding the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl championship in 2000. I'm looking at this man, knowing he knows football, knowing what he had to overcome. And I'm like, you've accumulated all of this talent over the course of 11 years, and you can't win a playoff game. It's moments like last night as to why that is. There is something missing in the psyche of this team. Tom Brady's great. I understand that. We understand that Tom Brady upset is not a good thing for the opposition. But to look like that, don't tell me that the New England Patriots are that much better than the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals didn't show up. They didn't show up. It's just that simple.
I'm going to give you this much. What became painfully clear from a Bengal perspective last night is that Andy Dalton can't stand up to Tom Brady in prime time when Brady's playing at that level. Sure. You could just feel it, like the Bengals are saying, ooh, they got Brady and we got Andy.
Skip. I can't. Listen, nobody's more critical of Andy Dalton than me. I can't put this on Andy Dalton. Even when he passed for just 63 yards in the first half, Skip Bayless, you're at the 13-yard line. You've got A.J. Green on one side, Sanu on another, Gresham as your tight end. And you're going to give the ball to Bernard to run up the middle 3 straight times? Skip, that's bad play calling. This defense that sat there and let LaFell and Wright look like elite wide receivers. Come on now. New England's defense was giving up 11 points a game, and you down 20-3 at the half. Come on, y'all. Come on, man. I'm not getting them. I'm sorry. The Cincinnati Bengals
giving up 11 a game.
Living up 11 a game. That's pathetic.
And they gave up 505 yards.
That's right.
Nostradamus, your article, nothing new in
220 yards rushing.
Right now on ESPN.com.
Oh, thank you.
Nothing new in New England. First line, celebrate the downfall of Coach Condescending and Tom Terrific. Why don't you? Because all signs point to a good year. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you.
You already knew.
And I must admit, I was a little nervous after Chris Mortensen's report yesterday morning that Belichick and Brady were at odds and about his future. And
you're always nervous.
I don't know.
Well, Brady all but said that's not the case. At the end of the game, also Gronk was like, we're glad we made you look like a superstar, Tom Brady, after all you media folks criticized him. Let's move to the NFC East, shall we? Cowboys beat the Texans in overtime. It's the first 4-1 start for the Cowboys since 2008. With some standout highlights, Bryant made a one-handed grab with Jonathan Joseph inside of his jersey. Take a look at that. That put the Cowboys in field goal range to win the game.
obviously was the play of the game that Tony made to Dez. Dez climbs up over that guy. I only saw it once from my vantage point, so I don't have the best view of it, but it looked like it was an incredible play. You know, we talk a lot about contested catches. I don't know that there's a better guy in the league who can make those kinds of contested catches than Dez Bryant, and he certainly did it at a critical moment for us. You know, Tony made a great throw on it, giving him a chance, and that certainly was the difference-making play to give us the chance to win it.
All right. And Tony Romo moved well in the pocket. You can ask J.J. Watt, who missed Romo on a tackle while he threw a touchdown to Terrence Williams. He looked good. Dallas wins the in-state battle. Bayless, what's your takeaway from the win?
You know, obviously, just let me get this out of the way. Spectacular, circus, clutch catch by Dez Bryant. As I tweeted yesterday, Dez for Prez. That's how excited I was. I don't know if I want to go that far,
right, but the idea,
we could be in some trouble there. But you know, you get the idea.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously, he went up and got that ball because he just wanted that ball more than Jonathan Joseph did. And that's Dez Bryant. That's what I do love about him. Now, I'm going to be objective about my Dallas Cowboys. They should have won this game by 21 points. The Dallas Cowboys are going to have to play much better than we saw yesterday, at least much cleaner than we saw yesterday, if in fact they're going to do what I predicted before the year that they would do, which is win the NFC East. I will say this. They were very lucky yesterday that Johnny Manziel wasn't the quarterback for the Houston Texans, or they would have lost that game. Remember, Houston had a chance. They had a chance to pick Johnny Manziel.
Say that?
Because he would have lit them up yesterday. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm like, thank you that Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback of the Houston Texans, because that's how Dallas survived that game. The point is that the Dallas Cowboys, under dire circumstances, managed to do something they would not have done last year. They won the football game because this is a different team than it was last year or the year before, the year before, the year before. This team has a winner's backbone to it that it did not have a year ago, and I'm going to stick by that. This team, we saw DeFumble Murray defumble in the first quarter as he had in 3 previous games. We saw Dwayne Harris fumble a punt. We saw Terrence Williams drop what I think would have been a touchdown pass near the goal line. We saw Tony Romo go gunslinger again and throw an interception on what could have been a touchdown pass down near the goal line. And despite all that, this team bounced back and still won the game. Yet Tony Romo got, you mentioned the 2 throws that he made. I didn't love either throw because they are both bailout, fall away, no-look throws because he doesn't want to take the shot right in the kisser that you're going to have to take. He did not stand in against either one of those rushes. He just flung it up, and it could have been caught by either team to me. But in these 2 cases, Terrence Williams came down with the first one, and it was huge. And obviously, Dez Bryant set up the game-winning field goal with the second catch. I don't love it, but the point was, in the end, they won a game against a team that is no joke on defense and no joke with Arian Foster running the football. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it in the bank. They are 4-1, and now they're going to have to play much better, obviously, if they're even going to stay on the field in Seattle next Sunday.
I think the biggest joke are all of you Cowboy fans. You folks are pathetic. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you would think that the Dallas Cowboys, this highlights and illuminates the level of ineptitude that has existed with the Dallas Cowboys for years and years and years. Because y'all are so happy that they are 4-1, that you would think the Dallas Cowboys actually won something other than a regular season game. Y'all are just pathetic, okay? And it's just destiny that y'all are going to lose because everybody's so hyped. And, you know, you got people calling up my radio show. That's right, Mad Dog Radio, Sirius XM, every day, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Here's the deal. You just absolutely killed me because the Dallas Cowboys went up against a backup quarterback, somebody who has proven he can't be successful as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
He's had his moment.
Okay. Oh, stop it. So what? Who cares? Everybody has their moments. So what?
Well, I mean, he was a starter in Buffalo for a while.
Matt Schaub had a few moments, okay? Just stop it. This is what I'm talking about here. Foster still had 157 yards.
He was
still
great.
averaged nearly 7 yards a carry. Andre Johnson didn't have the biggest day. Neither did Hopkins or anybody else. They only passed for 154 yards or 176 yards. I'm sorry, 154 yards to be exact for Patrick. It doesn't matter. They still almost won the game. It's still forced overtime. Why? Because somehow, some way, all you did by highlighting what Dallas could have done but didn't do is how Dallas tends to get in its own way. They're all about theater. The Dallas Cowboys, definitely, I will give you credit for this, Dallas Cowboys definitely appear to be a team that is finding ways to win and not get in their own way, which is different than what we've seen from them the last 4 years. I'll give you that. But it's only week 5. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Week 5's pretty deep into the season.
I'm sorry. You can say it's pretty deep into the season all you want to. I'm thinking it's 11 games to go. I'm thinking there's a whole bunch of divisional games to go and beyond. And let's see what the Dallas Cowboys do. Y'all are just pathetic because you look for every little thing to celebrate the Dallas Cowboys. They're 4-1. They're still tied atop the NFC East with the Eagles. Okay, fine. They're relevant. They don't stink nearly like we thought they were, but we always thought they were going to stink defensively. That's what we thought. We thought their offense was going to be a juggernaut. Last time I checked, Dallas hasn't looked like a juggernaut every game this season offensively. They've had their moments. They put up enough points to win, but at the same time, we look at them and we say, wait a minute. We expected their offense to be a bit more fluid. We expected their offense to be a bit more, explosive. I'm looking at DeMarco Murray. Yes, he fumbled. Okay, that's 4 fumbles on the season, I believe. Skip Bayless averaged 4.4 yards a carry, rush for 136 yards yesterday. Forget all of that. He ran 31 times. How much longer are you going to be able to keep that up? Because, see, to me, that's...
How about 11 games? Or 12, or 13, or 14?
Listen. How do you feel about DeMarco Murray compared to Emmitt Smith?
How?
Durability, protecting the football, both categories.
Emmitt was the greatest ever at avoiding contact I've ever seen.
Okay, and Emmitt Smith, the most he ever rushed for in a season was 377 carries. DeMarco Murray is on pace for at least over 400 yards. I am saying to you that this will not last. Somehow, someway. See, let me just put it clear for you Cowboy lovers out there, as pathetic as y'all are. Let me say this. What I'm waiting for is for DeMarco Murray to wear down just a little bit. I'm not talking about getting hurt. I don't wish that on anybody.
I don't know.
Okay? No, I don't do that. Don't play like that. Right. I don't do that. I don't wish for him to get hurt or anything. But I will say this. He ain't going to be able to keep this workload up. Somehow, some way. I don't believe that Jason Garrett and Linehan and those boys are going to go to Dunbar or Randall to rush the football.
I think
that's
they
his
will.
backup. I'm saying they might try, but they ain't DeMarco Murray. There's a reason he's getting 31 carries and Randall got 2 and Dunbar doesn't have any. I'm saying to you that in Murray they trust. And if it ain't Murray, they're going to ultimately lean towards giving more opportunity and chances to Tony Romo. See, that's what I'm waiting for.
On them to get
I'm waiting for Tony Romo to show up. I'm not talking about a little twisted back. Oh, I threw the ball wrong. I twisted my body. I contorted my body. I'm not talking about that. I'm waiting for Tony Romo to go back there and be the gunslinger that he is and saying, you know what? Give me the football, okay? Because DeMarco Murray is working too hard. We need to throw the football more. I'm waiting for that because that's the Cowboys that I know and love.
Right.
And I'm waiting for that. When they start winning games because Tony Romo's flinging that football, y'all come talk to me. Because I've been saying for years, if you had given DeMarco Murray the ball last year, they would have been in the playoffs. If you had given it to him the year before, they would have been in the playoffs. You didn't give him the football enough. That was your problem because you wanted Romo to save the day. I believe that's who the Cowboys are. And I think all of this is fool's gold. Let's see what happens.
Fool's gold.
Let's see what happens.
He's been flinging the football pretty well.
I'm not saying
accurate.
I'm not questioning the accuracy. I'm saying Tony Romo volume works against him. I'm not saying he's always made good throws. He's always put up good numbers. But you're weighted. I will forever use the Denver Broncos win over them last year as an example. 51-48, it was a classic. And Tony Romo looked like Joe Montana. Oh, boy, did he look special. And I sat back in my room and I went like this. I even tweeted. Go back. Look at those tweets.
I remember.
I went like this. I said, relax. Just wait. It's coming. And sure enough, interception. This is what I wait for. So he can throw all day, all season long. When the moment arrives most, and he's called upon to deliver, and Garrett's called upon to make the right decision, I'm going to sit back and wait. That's what I want to see. Because as long as they get the ball to Murray, they'll win games. They'll get to the playoffs, Skip. I don't believe that they will stick to this game.
Wait, so DeMarco Murray can't keep getting 30-plus.
He can't do this.
He can't
uphold. If he can continue this workload, The Dallas Cowboys will make the playoffs. I will concede that. I am saying that I bet against them because I don't believe they will do it. Not because I don't believe DeMarco Murray's the real deal. I know he can play. And I know Des Bryant is the real deal. And I know Jason Witten is the real deal. I like Terrence Williams.
But you think they're going to rely on Romo in the
I think they're going to ask Romo to come to the rescue. It's who they are.
Okay.
And that's what I'm waiting for.
And my answer to you is I can make exactly the same argument against Eli Manning in New York and Nick Foles in Philly. Yes, I can.
No, you can't. You know why?
Keep putting, he's only led the league in interceptions 3 times?
No, you
really?
can't. You can't, because I can say to you, I recall Eli Manning winning 2 Super Bowls.
Oh.
I never saw Tony Romo win but 1 playoff game.
Okay.
You cannot compare them. You cannot compare them.
Okay, but if you put too much load on Eli, if he has no running game, and he lost Rashad Jennings yesterday.
No. That no running game is entirely different than having a running game and ignoring it. See the difference? Having a running game and ignoring it. That's the Cowboys.
But you're saying that DeMarco's going to get beat up, worn down, and out.
I'm saying if you give him 31 carries a game, you can't do that. The workload is going to catch up to him.
He's a tough guy.
DeMarco Murray.
Nobody that tough. This is NFL.
Stephen A says you can't keep on pace with 30-plus carries. This is not going to happen. So we'll see what happens if the Cowboys will turn into the Cowboys, as Stephen A says.
I'm waiting.
It's fool's gold right now.
I'm waiting. I'm patiently
It's fool's gold right now, so he says. Bayless disagrees, though.
Waiting patiently.
Clicking away.
For that NFC East crown.
Oh, is that what you're waiting for? Okay, I see. Second-year quarterback Geno Smith has taken a hit in New York City, clearly frustrated after 3 straight weeks of poor play. Smith benched by the half in the shutout loss to the Chargers. Michael Vick no better, though. Those two combined for a 4.13 total QBR. But the team on both sides of the ball just looked bad all around. Geno on the loss.
Obviously, what we did today was not enough. It was definitely, pathetic, showing on my part. I think I didn't, help at any part during the game. So, what I'm going to do is look myself in the mirror, and I know every guy in the locker room is going to do the same thing. We're going to get better and find a way.
The Jets are 1-4, their worst start since 2007. After the game, Rex Ryan apologized to the fans that they may have left. His exact words. Stephen A., let's talk about responsibility. Who's the most responsible in that loss?
Let's get Bayless, Kerry champion. The most responsible person for yesterday's debacle is the general manager, John Idzik. This man is proving to be a catastrophe as a general manager. Indicative of somebody who was the 4th or 5th choice or whatever it was for Woody Johnson to get the job. The only thing this man has done right is draft Sheldon Richardson. When you look at the quarterback situation and Geno Smith being his man, my man Jay-Z and Juan and the crew with Rock Nation Sports working with Geno Smith, they are clearly doing a good job because he always says the right things in post-game conferences. Somebody needs to look Geno Smith in the face and say, damn it, that's the only thing you're doing right. Because you certainly ain't throwing the football. 4-12?
Yeah.
A quarterback rating of 7.6? I mean, how pathetic can you be? I do appreciate your honesty in the post-game conference. Thank goodness. Bravo. You get applause for telling the truth. No one can ever accuse you of being a liar. But that's about it. Because as a football player, he just looks like he stinks right now. 17 interceptions in the 21 games that he has played in his career. Come on, bro. It's just bad. When you look at Michael Vick, damn it, you ain't much better. And you know how much I love Vick. I mean, you coming in the second half, 8 for 19. You ain't doing much anyway. And by the way, they're talking about you in practice. I mean, they're talking about how you're not producing in practice, Michael Vick. Look it up. Find out who it is, because it's not pleasant, okay? And then we come on the field and we see what he's doing. You got to step it up. You got to be better. He's better than this. I don't know if Geno is, but I know Michael Vick's better than that. But it doesn't look that way. The Jets' defense, obviously, you look at Rex Ryan. This is supposed to be what you do, but the San Diego Chargers convert 9 to 10 third downs in the first half. They shellac you. They beat you down. You're down 28 to nothing. They just stomped you, okay? You have no offense to speak of. All of those things are true. They were ill-prepared. Rex Ryan is definitely culpable because you're the head coach and your team shouldn't be looking as bad. Geno Smith, I'm not there, but I'm almost done with him. I'm trying to hold out, but I'm almost done. Because you just know you can't look this awful, okay? But the reason why I'm not completely done and I'm still holding out hope for him and I'm holding out hope for Rex Ryan is because I have no hope in John Idzik. He is supposed to be a capologist, a cap specialist. That was supposed to be his M.O. You had $20 million in cap space, more like $24 million. You got cornerbacks that were out there, and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, and the list goes on, Werner and Revis and others. You missed out on everybody. Yep. You let Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie end up in the same building. You didn't grab him. You tried to lowball him, and then when the Giants made an offer, you came in at the last minute. You didn't get that done. I'm thinking about the receivers that were out there like the Emmanuel Sanders and the Golden Tates of the world. Who the hell do you give us? Eric Decker. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. This man has proven he has no business being the general manager for the New York Jets. As far as I'm concerned, he has left Rex Ryan to hang out and dry. He's given them nothing to work with offensively. As a result, it's put too much of the onus on the defensive side of the ball. They ran into Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates and those boys yesterday, which is a relative juggernaut considering the way the Chargers have been playing, and the Jets never had a chance. No. And so what you saw yesterday was a team not only that didn't have a chance, Skip Bayless, but a team that knew it from the moment they stepped on the field. They knew they were overmatched. They knew they couldn't compete. They knew they was on the San Diego Chargers level, and they got exposed quick, fast, and in a hurry. The Jet fans are, the Jets are a mess, and their fan base, as far as I'm concerned, I appreciate Rex Ryan's honesty when he says the fans that we may have left, because I have to be honest with you. I have gotten to the point where, as a native New Yorker with 98.7 FM in New York being the flagship station for the New York Jets, I'm at the point where I think the Jets should be paying the station. I mean, they got a lot of damn nerves to be as awful and as inept as they are. The Jets are a national disgrace because year after year after year, they continue to screw over their fans by not giving them what they deserve. New York Jets fans deserve better than this. Native New Yorkers and transplanters deserve better than the product that they've given us. They are a disgrace and an embarrassment, and to me it starts with Woody Johnson, and it has trickled down to the ineptitude of Mr. John Idzik, a GM who has no business being a GM because he doesn't appear to know what the hell he's doing. Because when you got that much money in cap space, and this is the talent that you give the New York Jets fans, you have told them to go kick rocks. I could give a damn what you want. I don't like you. I don't care about you, because that's the product we saw out on the field. It's disgraceful. It just is.
As a franchise, the New York Jets hit bottom yesterday. This was the all-time nightmare humiliation, 31-0. And yet, though you scored a lot of bullseyes, let me hit on two quick points here. The Chargers are really good.
Yeah, they are.
And I said before the year I thought they were going to be a breakout team, and I still think they're going to win that division. But that remains to be seen because Denver is playing at a high level. We will see. But we cannot give Geno a pass. He missed a team meeting on Saturday evening because he and some teammates reportedly went to a movie and got there.
Gone Girl?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
It was Gone Girl.
Was it Gone Girl? I'm not sure.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay. But maybe it went a little longer than they thought. But they were using the excuse of, well, we didn't get the time right on the West Coast. Those kids have all been to the West Coast before. They know how the clock works. It's 3 hours. They get that.
And you have 6 months of the year off.
Okay, you do.
You can see movies then.
And listen, even if he's with a group of teammates, he's the face of the franchise. He's the quarterback. He's the leader of the team. You have to lead them back to the team meeting on time. You can't put it on them. Oh, we all screwed up. No, you screwed up, Geno. So let's start with that. That set the wrong tone for yesterday. Now, back to your big picture premise here. I believe Idzik has set up Rex to fail this year. It's painfully clear to me he wants him out. The owner still loves him some Rex, I assume. Isn't that what we...
you know what, Skip? I don't know.
Yep.
And the reason I don't know is because if you love Rex so much, why didn't you just make him the coach and the de facto GM?
Could have. No,
why? Ahead of Idzik, who has no experience as the general manager?
So Idzik obviously drafted Geno, and I'm going to assume that Idzik ordered Rex to start Geno from the start this year. Is that fair to assume? To stick with Geno?
We can assume that.
All right. And then he goes out and gets Eric Decker. Neither of us big fans of Eric Decker. And obviously Eric Decker had a hamstring yesterday, so he couldn't even play yesterday. And as you point out, he did nothing to shore up the cornerback position, and that's what Rex has to have cornerbacks or the defense doesn't work.
At all.
You know, they blitz. They need corners who can cover. It doesn't. Rex is going to lose games badly if he doesn't have some cornerbacks, and yesterday he had next to nothing at cornerback. And they let some kid. Remember, San Diego's lost 3 running backs. They're down to their 4th-string running back, this kid Oliver from the University of Buffalo, and he runs wild.
Like superstar.
He goes for 182. Yeah. What is that about? Well, that's just the defense has just quit on you, Rex Ryan. They just quit yesterday. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, is Idzik just sitting back chuckling to himself, saying, "Boy, I just wish this year were over"? Right. Would they put Rex out of his misery tomorrow? Would they do it right now?
Wait, are you asking if they will fire him this season?
Let me say this. I don't think so.
Okay.
To answer that question directly. But in all seriousness, a defense gives up when your offense shows no ability to do anything, when you recognize that it is a complete waste of your time to expend your energy because you have to save it for another week because these boys just don't have it. I understand the San Diego Chargers are a very good team. I understand they are a force to be reckoned with in the AFC. They ought to be. Phillip Rivers, as far as I'm concerned, is a legitimate MVP candidate.
He is right now. In fact, he would be mine right now if we did it today.
He probably would be. You know, him or Peyton Manning. But I will tell you this. The New York Jets, if Rex Ryan is booted out the door instead of John Idzik, Jet fans need to boycott. They need to boycott by not showing up to the games. Seriously, because I'd be the first to admit, this 3 years in a row you haven't made the postseason. Yeah. And I understand that Rex Ryan hasn't been flawless. But with those 2 consecutive trips to the AFC Championship game and what he has proven to know on the defensive side of the ball, he deserves the opportunity to sink or swim on his own.
Yep.
If you're going to have him there as the head coach, to have Mr. Unqualified John Idzik scouring over him as if he knows what the hell he's watching. This man clearly, listen, to me, Skip, you know how I am. I'm all about what is your signature.
Yep.
What made you who you are? Idzik is a cap guy. All right? And Mike Tannenbaum, listen, whatever kind of situation everybody wants to point the finger at, well, Mike Tannenbaum, Mr. CIA himself, I can't blame Tannenbaum for this. Idzik has been in a position, particularly this past offseason, where he has stuff to work with. I do believe you, Skip. Yeah. I do believe he's trying to sabotage Rex Ryan. It has to stop. You know what? New York Jet fans better not let him get away with this.
This is interesting. You say boycott Jets fans.
I'm talking about not go to the game.
I know. Yeah. I get it. You realize that's happening right now in Dallas. In Arlington, but at Jerry World?
Yeah, we'll talk about that too.
We'll talk later, but to your point, I believe Cowboy fans finally said, we're sick of 8-8, and we don't want to go out there anymore.
And I'm proud of them.
So that's why half the stadium yesterday was
Houston
Texans fans.
I'm proud.
Half of it for 49ers was 49ers
fans. Maybe Dallas Cowboy fans are not as bad as I thought they were.
Skip says that the Chargers look like they might be divisional favorites. Obviously, they're experiencing their best record since 2011. Rex Ryan also added, though, you know this, he said Geno will start next week. Let's take a look at...
Maybe because Idzik forced him.
Yeah, he was ordered to. Well, but let's stay right there with that. Geno starting next week. There was an interesting headline in the New York Daily News. Let's show it to you. Skip Bayless, what do you think of that? Oh. Stephen A., your thoughts?
Is that a serious headline?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not made up? That's not one of our producers playing tricks on me?
That's a real headline. Let me go ahead and show it to you. Let me move these papers out.
Yes.
So what do you think?
Skip Bayless knew. He's trying to act like he didn't see this.
I didn't. I had no idea. I'm shocked.
I don't believe him. I don't believe you for 1 second. I know you knew about this. Skip doesn't miss anything.
God is my witness.
Okay,
I did not know.
You wouldn't say that.
The producer
all right.
Your thoughts?
I can't believe y'all doing this to me.
Just your thoughts, friend. How?
It's legitimate.
Whoa.
It's legitimate.
They won't.
I know they won't, but
you know what? I'm going to be objective about this. Obviously, I said from the start Tebow could win games if given a chance. He never got a chance with the Jets. But I'm still a Michael Vick fan, and I believe if you'd started Michael Vick from the start, they would be decent. They would be competitive. But that's just me.
Well, I wouldn't say bring Tebow back ahead of Michael Vick because I think Michael Vick could be better. I'm simply saying that when you talk about a locker room, when you talk about a culture, when you talk about priorities that have something to do with not winning, okay, then a Tebow addition is always a plus as far as I'm concerned. And no, I still don't think the man can throw. You know that. But he's my friend.
He is your friend.
I just want to make sure that that's my only issue with him.
Well, I can't take this seriously because, trust me, they're not taking this seriously.
No.
Just a thought. New York Daily News thought they put that out, and we thought we shared it with you.
Well, it was
a legitimate headline.
And by the way, this kid Meta, for the New York Daily News, outstanding column yesterday on Idzik. Outstanding column in Sunday's New York Daily News. He was absolutely on the money with everything he said.
Peyton Manning reached several significant milestones in the Broncos' win over the Cardinals. The most notable, he joins Brett Favre as the only members of the 500-pass touchdown club in the regular season. Manning also had his 13th career 400-yard passing game, joining Dan Marino for the most in NFL history. It's been said before, he is the best regular season quarterback. Peyton Manning, consistently great. Probably so great, sometimes people take it for granted. So that brought us to this question. Like, how impressed were you with Peyton Manning in that win yesterday? Consider that. We marinate on that. Someone who can help us is very impressive. Our buddy, our NFL analyst, Eric Allen, back.
Yeah.
How impressed were you with Peyton yesterday?
I'm always impressed with Peyton, not just because of his on-field skills, but if you know how he practices and the week leading up to practice, him understanding that, you know what, I may need to get the slot receiver more involved in this game on third down. So I'm going to really focus on that on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. That's the one thing that all great players have in common. When you go to practice, they stand out in practice. When you're practicing with Jerry Rice, you know, Jerry is running 100 miles an hour in practice, and it's obvious. It sticks out. So when Peyton gets to the game slows down. And if you're not defensively, if you're not on the same page as Peyton Manning, if that week of practice that you were a part of wasn't full speed, you're going to get exposed. And that's what great players do. They make other great players practice great and have great games. You enjoy the great battle. So again, I'm very impressed with how he's been able to have this consistency throughout his great career of being the best practice player on his football team and makes him the best player on the field.
I'm not digressing when I bring up this point, but revisiting Geno Smith, this is why he, even though it was a one mistake, it was isolated, it had never happened before, and we want to be fair to him. When you have an ambassador like a Peyton Manning, who's so renowned for his commitment to excellence, not just his excellence, and we understand the importance that comes with playing the quarterback position in the NFL, for you to sit there and be late to a meeting or whatever as the quarterback of the team, one would argue, what on earth are you doing going to the movies on a Saturday before the game? Forget about missing it, the time frame. You should have been in there early anyway because you the quarterback. So
remember they did
that's a great point.
Friday to try to get there faster. Go ahead. You're right.
That's a great point.
Right.
Because when you are struggling, and I know the excuse is, hey, you know what? It's Saturday before the game, but you're a struggling team.
You're struggling team.
So you have to sometimes put that front on. Like, you know what? I'm not going out. I'm going to be in my room in the playbook.
I'm being here. I can watch a movie in the room. Last time I checked, it's on demand and stuff like that in the hotel room. I don't have to go to the movie. I mean, right here. And you talk about a dude that loved the movie.
Unless you want to see Gone Girl.
Because Gone Girl's not on demand.
Well, you know what? You could see it Sunday night when you got back home.
Totally
after the W or the loss. With that being said, yesterday's game, as impressive as Peyton Manning was with his 179 yards, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think about Peyton Manning at all. I was floored by 479. I was floored by Demaryius Thomas. And what I saw that show he put on yesterday. Well, this boy could fly. I mean, there's a couple of times. I mean, don't get me wrong, Peyton Manning made his throws, but Demaryius Thomas made some plays. I mean, his feet, his athleticism, his speed. He made some of those plays, and you just saw him fly down the left sideline. And then the dip and dunk from Peyton Manning. It wasn't even a screen, but it looked like a screen. And he just scattered into the end zone. I'm like, yo, this brother is big time. You got him in single coverage, and you're going up against Arizona. It's going to either be Pasadena or it's going to be Antonio Cromartie. And excuse me, this is supposed to be an elite secondary.
Yeah.
And 226 yards receiving. I'm sorry. Blowing by him. I'm sorry. That's what stood out in my mind. So I know that Peyton Manning is a bad man.
Yeah.
I know that he's great, and I get all of that. But yesterday's game, I found myself mesmerized by Demaryius Thomas and what I saw him doing.
Okay, but I got to tell you, I got chills watching this game yesterday because of what the quarterback was doing. I was in awe of Peyton yesterday, and he's been around for forever. He was making jokes about it after the game, but what got me was, and I'm going to be balanced about this, even though you're up against only Drew Stanton, who got concussed, and then it's the Logan Thomas, the kid from Virginia Tech, and okay, I get that, and you do throw 2 interceptions, which is a little uncharacteristic of Peyton Manning, but as Stephen A. pointed out, it's Cromartie and Patrick Peterson, and it's Honey Badger, and it's Tony Jefferson from Oklahoma, who's really a good player, is their sort of safety and nickel safety, actually. And it's pretty good defense. And you're going to chew it up and spit it out for almost 500 yards through the air? I got to tell you, now he's in his 3rd year away from an Indianapolis that said you are washed up, basically. Like you'll never quite be the same. That had to be the message they were sending off 4 neck procedures. We all know. And they had the first pick, so they know they're going to take luck. God bless. But in this, Peyton Manning is getting better. I mean, that's as well as I've ever seen him play. That's the highest level. He was picking them to pieces. Yeah, he's got weapons. I looked at, when Demaryius catches 8, and then Emmanuel Sanders, great addition, catches 7, and Welker catches 7, and Julius catches 6, you got some big weapons going. Yeah. But somebody has to pick the right place, right time, right throw, hit him right in the hands, and you throw 4 touchdown passes. I mean, I sat back in awe of that game because I thought Arizona could hang with them, and Arizona could not hang with them.
Well, Arizona has some pieces that are missing in the secondary.
No question.
But I think going back to your point, Stephen A., and both your point also, Skip, is those guys would not be at that level. Thomas, either one of them would not be at that level if it wasn't for Peyton Manning. And that's the greatness of Peyton Manning. Sure. And there's been other quarterbacks who have been in that situation that there's no way that the practice level of Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, all those guys would be at this level. I remember 3 years ago, his first year in Denver, they were playing the San Diego Chargers, and things were going awry, and they had a great comeback. And it was all about the rhythm and timing that those receivers had to get on for Peyton Manning. It's just not running a 12-yard comeback. You have to run it a certain way, and you have to be in a certain spot for that play to work for Peyton Manning. And those guys are finally on that page.
Well, there's a couple of things. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we saw Peyton Manning as animated as he had ever been against a teammate when he was getting on Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things you're supposed to do, and there's a way to do it. And we never saw Peyton Manning like that, but just holding guys accountable. So I get what you're saying. And nobody's trying to take anything away from it. I'm saying in totality, when you look at the cumulative impact that he has had on this franchise and these individual players that he's playing with, there's no doubt it's all about Peyton. Just from a schematics perspective, understanding what the defense is going to do, reading and anticipating what they're going to do and being prepared to counter. This is what he does. We know he's brilliant. I'm just saying to you, despite all of that, there is always a point in the season where one particular game, despite the greatness of a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or somebody like that, you just see somebody special that shows up. Demaryius Thomas looked like that yesterday. Yeah. I mean, if you're Cromartie, if you're Peterson, you're looking at this dude. This dude, I'm watching Cromartie lunge at him and can't touch him because he's flying by him.
And Cromartie's fast.
And Cromartie is healthy and he can fly. And this dude is like, yo. I mean, like Roadrunner. I mean, I'm just watching. I'm like, my God, I can't believe
maybe a little bit of a pick here and there. But I'm
just saying to you, when you see something like that, Peyton Manning was making some throws, and I understand all of that. But I saw defenders in the vicinity, and I'm just seeing these guys. Emmanuel Sanders didn't have a bag; he had 101 receiving yards. I mean, you just and he is such a clear upgrade from Decker. Yeah. You understand? I'm just looking at. They've got some serious weapons, and when as great as Peyton Manning is, Skip, when you sit back in that secondary, whether it's Peterson or Cromartie or with Jefferson as your free safety, I'm just looking at these guys, man, and they're standing back there.
Okay,
like,
so question.
look at these guys.
Question. From what you witnessed yesterday, whether you look at it from Demaryius's perspective or Peyton's perspective.
Okay.
How much does your respect go up for what the Legion of Boom did to that offense in the Super Bowl?
No.
None?
You know why? You know why? Because I believe from the first hit that Chancellor placed on them, I think it was on Decker.
I think it was on
Demaryius. It was on Demaryius. But Demaryius had about 13 receptions that game, still in all.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you is that
they didn't count.
I know
they didn't matter.
But I'm just saying, at least you're telling me you're trying. Eric Decker had 1 reception for 6 yards. I mean, I'm so done with him.
Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make to you is, if I look at 2 guys and I say I can take them out, I can snatch their heart before the game even continues. You understand? Whether it's neutralizing Wes Welker because I'm waiting here in the slot for his little behind.
Yeah.
I'm going to get him. Or I got Eric Decker and I can snatch his heart because I took out D. Thomas and Derek Decker might be a bit timid. My point is that neutralize you. You're not going to be able to do that to the combination of Emmanuel Sanders along with Demaryius Thomas. They're going to keep coming.
We will see.
Okay, Eric Allen, scale of 1 to 10. What would you give the Cardinals defense? To put in perspective what Peyton did.
Before the game?
Yeah. Before the game and
Before
after
the game. Before the game, they're around a 7. You know, after the game, tremendous holes, great personnel, need to start working on game plan and film preparation. I think that's the one glaring weakness that separates them from maybe a San Francisco and definitely a Seattle. Seattle has great personnel, but they are in tune with their game plan each and every week, and that's what makes them so special.
They did lose Calais, which we're going to talk about later.
Emmanuel Sanders is an upgrade, though.
He is. He is.
It was a successful weekend for the NFC East. Des Bryant's big catch in overtime helped the Cowboys beat the Texans despite a strong comeback push from the Rams. The Eagles, they held on for a win. And Eli and the Giants won their 3rd straight after beating the Falcons in the Meadowlands. Looking at the NFC East standings, let's take a look, folks. The Cowboys and Eagles top the division at 4-1, with the Giants 1 game back at 3-2. The Redskins are 1-3 and host the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. There are the rankings. We asked our expert to be completely unbiased here.
I am.
Despite your affiliation with the Eagles, how would you rank the NFC East?
And right now, when you look at the NFC East, I think offensively, the best offense statistically is the Eagles. They're number 1 in offense. When you look at the games, they're not the best offense. The Cowboys are the best Cowboys. Best line, great personnel around them. Romo's doing an outstanding job.
Preach.
Time out.
And again,
One second. This one is skipped to my left is shaking his head.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And this one is rolling his eyes.
Right.
Okay,
but I'm okay with all of it. So I'm focused on you. I'm focused on you. So when you talk about it, you start offense. And Giants-wise, good job running the football.
Right.
You know, Rashad Jennings banged up a little bit. Rookie comes in, does a pretty good job out the backfield. Still not sold on this Giants offense, though. So right now, eye test, Dallas Cowboys, obviously, number 1 offense for me. Then we go defense, which is so important when you get to the playoffs and championship games. It's about defense. About if you don't have a defense that can stop the run, you need a defense that can get turnovers and make things happen. We know the Eagles have difficulty covering anybody with that collapse yesterday in the secondary.
Yeah.
Giants secondary is not the best either. So they've had issues and problems. Bring us to the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm leaving the Redskins out of this because we got a backup quarterback. Hazlitt's defense is all over the place. I'm not sure what's going on with the offense. Kirk Cousins so I'm not even putting them in question. They're at the bottom of the cellar right now in the NFC East. So that brings me back to defense. And that's the one area that the NFC East needs to show improvement. Which team is going to be able to either get tremendous pressure and get over 40 or so sacks? And usually when the Giants are over 40 or so sacks with just 4, that's great for their defense. They won Super Bowls with that formula. The Eagles have not won a Super Bowl. Defensively, since Brian Dawkins has left, they haven't had a guy in the secondary like they have now from the Saints at free agent, doing an outstanding job, really bringing some swagger back to that defensive backfield. Corner still struggling. So that brings me to the Dallas Cowboys. That's the football team right now who is the best in the NFC East. They're the ones who need to step up defensively. Orlando Scandrick had an outstanding pick yesterday. He steps in for the rookie. I think they're getting better. I love the defensive coordinator, and we talked about that move, making sure that he is the guy. When you play zone defense, the one thing that I've really been surprised at, that everyone is on the same page. They're focusing on the same things. Eyes to the quarterback, breaking on the ball, and that was a big reason why Scandrick had to pick yesterday, because they were playing proper zone fits in the zone defense. So right now, the Dallas Cowboys have Cowboys have all the check marks to be the best team in the NFC East with the Eagles and then the Giants.
Sounds good. Beautiful. Beautiful analogies.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive. Shows me.
I liked it.
Shows me that you're sitting there, you're doing your homework, chilling in Southern California, in the beautiful city of San Diego, just chilling, relaxing, and doing what you do. I'm so
yard work.
So very, very impressive. I must ask this question though, because I just can't get beyond it. I can't help myself but to ask this question. Over the last 4 years, haven't we been able to say that about the Dallas Cowboys? Prior to reality kicking in and them being the walking piece of mediocrity that they have been, have we not been able to look at this team based on the personnel that they had in place and say, comparable to the other teams, they were relatively superior? Did we not think they were going to beat the Giants? Did we not think they were going to beat the Washington Redskins? Did we not think they were going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles? Even though with the Philadelphia Eagles it was a little bit less so because Tony Romo couldn't play in that season finale. Couldn't play in the last couple of games, and they had a backup quarterback. So we know that they were going to be a bit debilitated because their star, the modern-day Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman type dude that they have, he wasn't available to them because he had back injuries, even though he hadn't been touched when he hurt his back against them. And we understand that. We understand that.
He did need surgery.
I understand. He did need surgery. I didn't say that he didn't need surgery. I didn't say he wasn't hurt. I said he got hurt when he wasn't touched. You know, he twisted his back. You understand? I wonder why that was. Why your back hurting even though? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what's going on. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is this. Haven't we been able to say that about Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys before? I love how y'all point this out. DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant, Jason Witten, Tony Romo. I think they've been there the last couple of years.
Have they been 4-1?
I think they were there. No. I think they were there. I think they were in the lineup. I think they were wearing the uniform. I think they were playing in the same place for the same franchise. I think the expectations people were looking at when we talk about the NFC East, we were seeing the same thing. 5 games in. Oh, they have the makeup. I really think. I would say that. Really? Y'all are unbelievable, man. Y'all are unbelievable.
Wait. Was the offensive line all there?
Let me ask you a question.
Was the offensive line all there?
I have a question. Hold on. Skip. I know that you're caught up. I know that you like your chicken salad every day and all of that stuff. What do you eat? What do you eat when you were in Texas? When you were in Dallas?
Mayonnaise. Stop the mayonnaise.
Okay, no mayonnaise. Stop the mayonnaise.
Chicken and broccoli.
Mayonnaise is so delicious. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. Skip Bayless. What were we saying? What were we saying about the Cowboys? I understand. You know, Zach Martin, Trevor Fredericks, Tyron Smith. I get it. They were the offensive line. I get that. I understand. But DeMarco Murray's on course to run for over 400 carries.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying, is this the same team? I want y'all to know, because I'm listening to you, Eric, and you're caught up in the sauce that's
I'm not caught up. I'm not caught up.
I'm not caught up.
Wait. What was Kerry's original question? How do you rank the NFC East right now?
Right now.
Right now, how do you rank it?
Yeah, Stephen A.
Philly.
Number 1 over Cowboys.
Philly.
The Jekyll and Hyde that they are?
I refuse to give the Dallas Cowboys any credit.
Right now.
I absolutely have to.
Right now.
Until I absolutely have
right
to.
now.
I'm not giving them any credit until I absolutely have to. No. I'm gonna call me Skip Smith or Stephen A. Bayless. I'm gonna stick to the courage of my conviction.
Careful, you're gonna break the tape.
No. I can't give the Dallas Cowboys credit until I absolutely have to, because again, I watched them yesterday. Aaron Foster, 157 yards rushing. You understand this defense we've been talking about? He was running all over them yesterday.
He's going to run over a lot of
passes that the Eagles allowed?
Yes, I did.
Come on, man. This is a passing league in the regular season.
You know what? They got lazy because they were up. It was a blowout victory, and they got caught.
No.
They got comfortable. What happened?
I put my cleats on.
It happened.
A little warmer for myself.
It happened.
You could have helped a lot.
You know what? I may have it.
Listen. Excuse me. You were one of the best. Stop. So what? You can say that about a lot of teams. I don't see you criticizing other teams. You can't say about it.
Come on, Skip.
Okay, so back to Kerry's question, which you so definitely did not answer.
He did.
That is fair for you to bring that up, because usually you're wrong when you say back to the question. But in this particular instance, you're right. Back to the question. I didn't want to answer the question. I didn't want to answer the question, but I'm saying
he didn't say Eagles were second, third. He just said Eagles.
You just said Eagles.
I say Eagles. I'll say the Giants before I say the Dallas Cowboys. I ain't giving Dallas Cowboys.
He's not going to do
it.
Not doing it.
I'm going to pay respect where respect is due off yesterday's games. I'm going to rank Dallas number 1 in the East, I'm going to rank your New York Football Giants #2 in the East right here, right now. Right here, right now.
2010 came back.
I've got to drop the Eagles to 3rd on my list because I said Jekyll and Hyde, but they're actually Jekyll and Hyde your eyes in the 4th quarter. Because am I right? They were up 34-7. Now, they did benefit from a blocked punt for a touchdown and a fumble that they picked up and ran in for a touchdown. But it is 34-7 against some undrafted free agent quarterback. And all of a sudden, he gets hot, and boom, boom, boom. And then he's got the ball back. He's throwing to win the game. Yeah. Am I right? It ends up 34-28. And you're going to sell me the Philadelphia Eagles who keep doing this week after week after week. And I'm starting to spell week with W-E-A-K instead of W-E-E-K.
Wow.
Because I just don't know about Nick Foles. I watch, he makes some really big-time gutsy throws, and then he misses a couple. I'm saying, where did that come from? He threw for 207 yesterday, which wasn't all that impressive. And when you least expect it, they will explode, and then they'll blow themselves up. And I'm not buying them. I'm dropping them to 3rd, and then I got Kirk Cousins 4th, because it's Kirk Cousins. That's the end of that. But to me, Dallas has displayed on both sides of the ball a far more solid football team than Philadelphia has in the run game and on defense. And I'm taking it to the bank.
I agree.
Well, I will concede.
I agree with that.
That the Dallas Cowboys have looked better than the Philadelphia Eagles defensively. And there is no denying that their running game has been better because DeMarco Murray himself has been better than the entire Eagles backfield.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But my argument has consistently been it won't last because the Cowboys that we know and love or love to hate is a team that relies on the arm of Tony Romo.
Not this year.
Running game.
Not this
and
year.
I'm saying that the pace that DeMarco Murray is on, they're going to have to get Dunbar and Randall involved, or they're going to have to give it to Romo to throw. I'm betting that they'll give it to Romo to run.
And I'm going to remind you.
And that's what I believe.
Last year, as mediocre as they were, they should have gone 6-0 in this division. And we haven't even started.
Okay, so humor me, Eric Allen, before you get out of here. So Skip ranks the Giants 2nd in the division. They go to Philly next week. Who wins?
Ooh, the Eagles fan. Again, the Giants, when you start looking at numbers-wise, the Giants are not going to be able to throw the ball with the Eagles, and defensively there are going to be tremendous breakdowns. So, again, I think the Eagles are the 2nd-best team in the NFC East.
All right, Eric Allen, taking off.
Goodbye,
Join
man.
us a little later on in the show.
Why are you still here? Why are you still here?
He's going to come back Stephen A.
That's right.
He leave. We won't miss him.
Yeah, you will.
We won't miss him.
Yeah, you will.
The Cowboy lover.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
The Boston Red Sox have won the World Series.
The new college football playoff.
The Seminoles have completed the perfect season.
Your home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Despite reports that 49er players want Jim Harbaugh out as head coach, the team responded with a 22-17 win over the Chiefs on Sunday. San Francisco used a fake punt early in the 4th quarter that eventually led to the go-ahead score and ruined Alex Smith's return to the Bay. Colin Kaepernick threw for over 200 yards and a touchdown, while Frank Gore had over 100 yards on the ground. Stephen A., again, as I said, going to break, a lot of negative headlines surrounding the 49ers. In spite of that, they were able to win. Consider all that. Tell us how impressed you were with their win yesterday.
I wasn't too impressed. I mean, they did what the San Francisco 49ers do. They're tough. They find a way to remain competitive and position themselves to win football games. It's not really about the San Francisco 49ers because I know that they have the talent, whether it be with Gore, Bolden, Kaepernick, or whomever. They have, and I like Brandon Lloyd as well. I think they have the talent, and Stevie Johnson. I think they have the talent to do what they've done. Who I'm most impressed by is Jim Harbaugh. Okay. We know that he's been in the eye of the storm. I still stand by my support for primetime Deion Sanders and what he originally reported, which was ultimately corroborated, as far as I'm concerned, and validated by our very own Adam Schefter, along with my man Jay Glazer at Fox, who I've known for many, many years and is a friend of mine. My point to you is that when I look at these guys and what they have said and what they've reported, a Glazer coming out and saying this is going to be it for Harbaugh, Adam Schefter reporting what he reported, a Deion Sanders reporting what he reported, And for Jim Harbaugh to be dealing with all of that, and for this team to come out and play the way that they play for him, he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yep.
Because what he has shown is that, you know what, he's not going to win too many popularity contests. He's not trying to be about flash and dash and all of that other stuff. He's just a football coach, concerned about coaching football and winning football games. And I give him a boatload of credit for that. He deserves it. He deserves credit for that. Kansas City, on the other hand, I find myself still relatively impressed by this team. I think Andy Reid's got them playing hard and got them playing strong. But Alex Smith, once again, has proven whatever that upper echelon is, he ain't there. I mean, it's one thing to throw an interception, overthrow the pass that he did.
The late one.
The late one. It's one thing to do that, Skip Bayless. It's another thing entirely to be in a position where you are driving for the game-winning touchdown. Okay? And on the first play, you throw the interception. Timing is everything. And to not even give your team a chance to win the football game because he throws that interception, you know, there's nothing for me to say.
Okay. Why would you put Alex Smith in that position? Because if you do, he'll probably come up short because that's not his strength, to throw great late passes that pull out close football games.
But Skip, did it really require it to be a late great pass? Skip Bayless, it was about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
And the fact is you had time. It was the first pass of the drive.
Okay. Here's the big picture of what happened yesterday. Jim Harbaugh, as you pointed out, outcoached or at least coached better than Andy Reid did, because Andy Reid kept putting the game in his quarterback's hands. Really, Jim Harbaugh went meat and potatoes yesterday, and he did pull off the fake punt, which was a great call because it worked.
Yes, it was. On your 29-yard line, very well.
Jim Harbaugh called 40 rushes yesterday. Andy Reid called 19 rushes yesterday. So, again, there were 7 third downs that Kansas City had of 4 yards or fewer. And guess who didn't touch the ball on any of those 7 third downs? Jamal Charles or Niall Davis, either one. Those are arguably your 2 best weapons on offense, and they don't touch the ball on 7 key plays in the football game. You can't keep putting it in Alex Smith's game-managing hands and hope to win a game on the road against this defense. Now, I didn't think Colin Kaepernick played great either. The best thing he did was 0 turnovers because he is capable of throwing 3 picks, as he did against the Bears. But he completed 14 out of 26, but he missed the throw that would have iced the game to Bolden late when he threw it to the corner of the end zone and it was just too high. Okay, he hasn't been that deadly accurate this year. He hasn't played at that high of a level.
He has not. Even though his completion percentage belies that, he really hasn't been that accurate.
He hasn't been great. He hasn't been that guy that we saw for the second half of the first year that he started. We haven't seen that guy last year or this year. But you know what? His coach is really good. And his defense is starting to get better even without the stalwarts that they're missing that they hope to get back. So all of a sudden, I think despite all the negativity that Kerry brings up, Jim Harbaugh's, once again, he's pretty good. He's doing a good job.
He's pretty good. I'm not going to indict Andy Reid as much as you, however.
But this is classic Andy Reid.
He
throws the football.
He throws the football, that is true. And I saw what he did to mix it up Monday night against New England, which was a pleasant surprise. You could say he resorted back to old form, but I'm of the mindset that you're going up against San Francisco, and when times get tight, the first thing they're going to take away is the run. I know that Charles had over 5 yards to carry, 15 rushes for 80 yards, and so the belief is continue to give this brother the ball. But at the same time, if I've got just 2 minutes left, and I got the ball in Alex Smith's hand, I just gave him this money in the offseason. I just gave him this contract extension. He's the face of my franchise. He's the quarterback. He can make some of these throws. I want to see what he's got. I want to see what he's got. And so I don't knock Andy Reid for that, because if it were a team that you could clearly run on all day long, that would be different. But these are the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm not sure. I don't care how well Jamal Charles is running for the first 3 quarters. In the waning moments, they're going to take that away from you.
You talk about Colin Kaepernick and turnovers. When he doesn't turn the ball over, they're 13-1-1. So obviously they have a better chance. And Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, tweeting yesterday about the coach. It's not a popularity contest. He's our coach. We're trying to get a Super Bowl. Lions failed to gain ground in the NFC North after the Bills rallied from a 14-point deficit to upset Detroit on Sunday. Dan Carpenter kicked a 58-yard field goal at the end of regulation as Buffalo players carried off defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, who was fired, you may remember, as Lions head coach after last season. To add injury to insult, Calvin Johnson re-injured his ankle early in the third and did not return. So, Skip Bayless, how bad of a loss was that for the Lions?
It was inexplicably awful to me, and I am a Lions believer this year, although every other Sunday I find myself doubting. They go to Carolina and lose 24-7, and then that debacle happened. Quick comment on Jim Schwartz, the ex-coach. Not too classy. Come on.
Yeah.
You're going to gloat about that. You're going to tell your new players, your new defenders back in OTAs, hey, if we win that game, carry me off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For what? You went 29-51?
That's right.
And you're going to gloat over that? Hey, Detroit, look at me.
Exactly.
That's exactly why I would be glad if I were a Lions fan that he weren't my coach.
That he is gone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, now to the Detroit quarterback. So Megatron was incredibly limited to start the game. Then, as you point out, he's gone in the third quarter. Reggie Bush is gone in the second half with injury. Your quarterback has to figure out how to make a 14-0 lead against the Buffalo Bills of Kyle Orton stand up, and he could not figure out how to do that. I don't know what's missing between the ears here, but it's just not there for Matt Stafford. He has all the ability in the world. He has as much ability as anybody in the league. But I don't know what happens. He ends up throwing for 227, and Kyle Orton lights up Detroit, going 30 for 43. 30 for 43. Kyle Orton comes out of retirement.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know if he wants to play
anymore.
You know, he's doing something else. Oh, okay, I'll go and I'll throw for 308 at Detroit. Really? Against a team that handled Green Bay at home. Was that not as impressive a game as we've seen all year as what Detroit did to Green Bay in Detroit? I thought it was highly impressive.
Yeah.
I said, that's a really good football team. And then you give us that against Buffalo? Seriously? I'm on the fence now about this team.
Well, you should be on the fence about it. And to get back to Mr. Schwartz, let us remind our audience that he was the head coach for the Detroit Lions for 5 years. They made the playoffs just once. And by the way, that was the only time they had a winning record in his 5 years.
And they immediately got blown out in New Orleans.
And New Orleans got annihilated.
Yep.
So for him to be carried off the field just shows how low class and how clueless he can be. And we also recognize why the players appear to be the same way. In Jim Caldwell's case, you know, this mild-mannered Clark Kent type of personality, you know, I'm not saying you need to be Schwartz, but you certainly need to be more than he has been in a couple of situations this season in terms of holding guys accountable and making sure they maintain their grind. Golden Tate showed up yesterday with 134 yards receiving. Matt Stafford had him as a target. Pretty much nobody else. They put Alex Henry missed 3 field goals. That didn't help. Expect Prater, who just got cut by Denver, to get a call from the Detroit Lions. If they're smart, they'll call and get him there.
I'm hoping that my guy Jay Feely will get a
Jay
call.
Feely, one or the other.
I assume it will come down to those two.
It doesn't need to be Alex Henry.
I think they will have a kickoff today, if I'm not mistaken.
Whether it's Jay Feely or Prater, one or the other. That's what happens, Prater, when you use PEDs and you end up being suspended, and then ultimately you end up turning around and getting cut by John Elway, who made the right move keeping the dude that he had. With that being said, I know Megatron is everything to this team, but you had a 14-0 lead. Where's that defense?
I don't know.
How come you couldn't stop the Buffalo Bills? I don't understand this Detroit Lions team. They're not that impressive to me. And I'm really looking at Matt Stafford hard because I'm wondering what kind of stuff does he do in terms of extending himself. I know you're the quarterback. I know you have the talent that makes you worthy of being the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions. But what kind of stuff do you do to lead this team? I'm not sure it's there.
Well, the Cardinals were blown out in Denver. But that wasn't the biggest issue for Coach Bruce Arians. After the game, during the first drive of the second half, Broncos tight end Julius Thomas chop blocked Cardinals defensive end Calais Campbell. Campbell sprained his MCL as a result, expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks.
I've been coaching for 37 years. It's the dirtiest play I've ever seen in the National Football League. It was a flat chop block and put him out of the game. I've never seen anything like it. I know John Fox, and he's a great coach and a great guy. But somebody has got to answer to that. A fine isn't going to do it when he's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks on a blatant chop block.
He says it was the dirtiest play he's seen in his 37 years in football. Stephen A., would you agree with that?
I don't know, because he's a football guy for the last 30 years. I'm not. I'm just a reporter. I'm not somebody that is an aficionado on that. What I can tell you is that in terms of, seeing all the dirt, I've seen a lot of dirty plays. I'm not qualified to say whether that's the dirtiest I've seen. It was pretty bad in my estimation. There's no room for that in the game. I've always been opposed to that. I've always hated it when Denver, who was known for that for many years, with Slereth and the crew doing the chop block, and I always thought it should have been labeled illegal, and now it has been. It was a 15-yard penalty. I'm willing to say that I don't think that's good enough. I think Bruce Arians is on the money in terms of his disgust with the play itself. I think it's tantamount to trickery, but trickery in a form that harms physically another player as opposed to going against them straight up. I think it's a problem, and I am of the mindset that I believe that Julius Thomas should be suspended for as long as Calais Campbell is out.
That's severe.
I don't care. I am of the mindset, listen, this guy...
5, 6
I'm
weeks?
saying, well, however long you are, I really, really believe that the NFL at some point, to get guys to play straight up and fair and within the rules, I believe that the NFL should adopt a mentality. You get to come back when that player gets to come back. If Calais Thomas has to end up missing the month, you stay out a month.
Yeah.
You understand? Now, obviously, there's got to be limitations to it, because sometimes somebody could prolong it if it's a lesser quality player or a less impact player. Well, you can stay out for a couple of more weeks or whatever.
You don't matter, so you only get a day off.
But what I'm saying to you is that if a sprained MCL customarily warrants a month out, you understand? Then that player that caused that injury should be out for that.
That's a great point. That really is, thinking about it. Really? And again, that really is, when you think about it. Again, this type of play, obviously, Coach Arians is a coach's coach. He's been around the league, well respected. If he's going to get up there and say that, and obviously he hasn't seen every piece of film that we're going to talk about. I've been on a team with some guys who've done some pretty crazy stuff, So this is not the dirtiest thing I've seen. And when you're on that guy's team, you kind of look, hey, whatever he's doing, doing this thing. But when you're an opposing team, and this time now that we have a 2014, there's no room for that right there. Not a doubt. You understand and know what you're doing when you go down the guy's knee. We just saw last year Brian Cushing injured again on the same exact play, basically. So again, and at that time, again, we were still very upset why something like that would go on. But that is you cannot do that in this game right now. We need to find a way on the offensive line. If you can't reach the guy, you have to find another way of trying to get him. And that's basically what it is. You're not athletic enough to reach him to really make sure that he doesn't make the play. That has no room in our game right now, going down on someone's knee like that.
Point in terms of Calais Campbell being the biggest star, do you believe that's why Bruce Arians reacted the way he did, saying it's the dirtiest play ever?
Because if it's not the biggest star, though. But
well, one of their bigger stars. So why would you say that?
It's any of your frontline players, because he's on your football team. You're trying to protect your guy, and not only for this week, but that's a message. When the Broncos used to do that before, back in the early late 90s, that was a message to the team, not only that they're playing right now, but a message the next week. You should have saw all of the things that the defensive linemen had to talk about doing in order to defend that kind of chop blocking the week before the game. So we're trying at Wednesday and Thursday practice, we're trying to break down the opponent. They're worrying about, hey, if he chop blocks me, I'm going to have to do this and do that. How am I going to respond? Am I going to step on his throat or whatever? So it takes the game plan totally out of a normal flow where the defense can kind of get a heads up. So again, no room in the game for that.
Timeout. We're not talking about Denver's left or right tackle making this block. This was Julius Thomas, the tight end, who to me is more of a pass-catching tight end than a blocking tight end. So if you're going to go dirty on me, you got to say that it's attached to intent to be dirty. Okay. And I'm not sure that Julius Thomas meant to do that to Calais Campbell. And he's very athletic, so I don't know if it was an athletic deficiency. I just don't know if he's very good at what he was trying to pull off. Now, not that he doesn't block or isn't called upon to block, but maybe he just made a mistake. Because from what I know, and I don't know Julius Thomas, but he never comes across to me as a bad guy or a dirty player. It's the guy Peyton yelled at. I don't know, but it's the wrong guy to say you're a dirty player. And remember, the old offensive line coach, Alex Gibbs, remember from your day, had a reputation, a long-built reputation for teaching the chop block before it was illegal. But Alex Gibbs was sort of a veteran coach with the team until last year. He's gone. I don't know Dave Magazoo is the offensive line coach who's been with John Fox since his Carolina days in 2003. But does he teach this? Again, this isn't an offensive lineman we're talking about. It's the tight end who is just trying to undercut a 6'8" pass rusher and get him off his feet, and he went a little low.
Skip, first of all, when you 6'8", you don't have to get that low to get low. That's number one. If
Julius is no little guy either.
I'm just saying, that's number one. Number two, you say you have to attach intent. But intent is one of the most impossible things to attach something to because you don't specifically know what's in somebody's mind or what's in somebody's heart. All you could do is have rules and regulations in place. When the NFL has made sure it highlighted that this is something that's detrimental to our sport. If this were, when we want to protect the quarterbacks are not the only people who should be protected. People's heads aren't the only things that should be protected. You are on the line of scrimmage. I don't care if you are a left tackle or you are a tight end. You are on the line of scrimmage. And when you talk about the fact that this dude didn't necessarily, he might have just done a bad job. He's really a pass catcher. He's not a blocker. Well, he seemed to get the job done yesterday, didn't he? I mean, Calais Campbell went down. And all I'm saying to you is that you're talking about competing and competing straight up. That's not straight up. And by the way, you had help because you've got an offensive lineman right next to you of your Julius Thomas to assist you with Calais Campbell. You didn't have to do that. So if this guy ends up getting chop blocked and the chop block has been eradicated from the game, eliminated from the game, and yet you still go out there and you exercise it, and it's for a franchise who made that famous because of what they used to do, then I'm going to sit there and assume where there is smoke, there is fire, and I'm going to cut this, figuratively speaking, no pun intended, I am going to cut this off at the knees. We're going to stop this right now. So all I'm saying to you is that a sprained MCL, if we surmise that usually that leaves you out 3 weeks to a month, then I'm going to say minimum. I might not do it more than that, but I'm going to say if you're Julius Thomas.
How can you do that when you don't know his intent? You said it's impossible to know
because
his
I got
intent.
the action.
Hey,
I got the film.
I can show you
did.
so much film, and this man can too,
right?
Of headhunter plays where you'd say that was just flat out nasty, dirty,
nobody's
with intent.
Nobody's saying they shouldn't suffer either. I'm not saying they shouldn't suffer either. I'm saying if you're Calais Campbell and you are out for a month because of that play, then I think Julius Thomas should be out just as much.
You would cut that out immediately. All of it.
Immediately.
How would you ever judge? Who would be the judge and jury on that one?
The judge and jury would be the film. All right, this is what we see. This is what you did. Period.
That would cut that out immediately.
Immediately.
It would never fly.
Eric Allen, how are you?
I'm great.
All right.
Always great.
Nice. You don't have
it's nice to have you.
You learn that
I'm about to go now. I got other things to do.
Actually, you can say because you agree with him now. So he says. Skip wants you to go now. All right. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Oh, I love being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our final takes. Small debates with a big impact. Seattle is a 7-point road favorite when they take on Washington tonight for Monday Night Football. Seahawks also have a 74% chance to win tonight based on numberfire.com. Skip Bayless, who wins?
Stephen A., obviously the Seahawks are not quite the Seahawks in domination on the road. And the Redskins have had some time to lick their wounds inflicted upon them by your New York Football Giants at their place. I'm going to say they hang in for a while, but only for a while. I'm going to go Seattle 28-14.
I'm going to actually, I was going to say Seattle 27-13. I think they're going to win this game. I think that they're going to be dominant because Kirk Cousins is a pocket passer, and that's going to play right into their hands. You got to be evasive as a quarterback to make some noise against Seattle, unless you're a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning kind of team. That's just how I feel about it. I just think Seattle is just so superior, and I'm not sold on Jay Gruden yet. I need to see more from him as an offensive mind and as a head coach. I don't see the impact yet.
No, I found this out today. For the very first time, the starting quarterback for the Cowboys had to use a silent count.
Do you believe in that? At home.
At home.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how big of a problem is the lack of home field advantage for the Cowboys, Skip?
Stephen A., this is becoming a huge problem because it's like you're playing a road game at home. And I've constantly told you over the last 2 years, Dallas has become actually a better team on the road, literally on the road, away from Jerry World than they are at Jerry World. And I blame this on Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett and Tony Romo because they're the ones who've been, as you've called them, walking pieces of mediocrity. And Dallas, or what should I call it, Cowboy Nation, has finally just quit on America's team at home. They're just saying, hey, we're going to make this like your home on the road, where we're going to let the 49er fans take over Jerry World. We're going to let the Texan fans take over Jerry World. And again, I'm happy when they're away. I'm happy when they're going to even Seattle. I think they have a better chance at Seattle than they have at Jerry World. That's what it's come to.
Doesn't bother me at all. I think the Cowboys are reaping what they've sowed. They've prioritized having the billion-dollar playpen as entertainment for all outsiders. They haven't done enough. They haven't thought enough about the Cowboy fans. They want to see winning football. They want to see a football environment, not a daggone amusement park.
Yeah, and they have so many national events there. It's become like a national stage, not a Cowboys stage.
Y'all go there, and by the way, you've been losing. Win some football games, and I'm sure Cowboy fans will show up.
They'll show up. All right. Well, biggest road comeback in NFL history. Browns did it. 25 points down to upset the Titans. So how bad of this? Was this like bad Titans or really good Browns?
Obviously, Jake Locker once again was lost. First, he had a sort of a mild concussion, and then he hurt his hand. So he's always got something hurt. He was gone. But you know what? I got to give it up to Brian Hoyer. He's made for these kind of games where you count him out, and all of a sudden, here he comes. And here he comes, and here he comes, and he keeps turning Johnny Manziel into Johnny Bench because that's where he's staying.
Absolutely about Brian Hoyer. I completely agree. My kudos to him because he is showing up when it counts most. He deserves a lot of credit for that. But the other thing that I would like to say is that Wisenhunt gets a lot of credit, but maybe too much. We know he's great with quarterbacks. We know he's a really talented offensive mind. Maybe he's one of those guys that's better suited to be a coordinator than a head coach, because as a head coach, even though he did take him to the Super Bowl once in Arizona, I don't know how much he wins.
Right,
and Phillip Rivers still doing okay without
Monday Night Football, Seahawks at Washington. Again, quickly, your score?
28-14.
27-13 visitors.
All right, there you go.